What is up? The Dallas Mavericks have a 2-0 lead on the Los Angeles Clippers. I will say that again. The Dallas Mavericks have a 2-0 series lead on the Los Angeles Clippers. This is epic. As Jalen Brunson would say, the vibes are immaculate right now. This is an incredible win from the Mavericks because they go in to LA and beat the Clippers not once, but twice. Now, the Mavericks were a better road team all year than they were a home team. But this is an incredible turnaround because the Clippers, don't forget, the Clippers tanked to face the Mavericks. They tanked the last two games to avoid the Lakers and to face the Mavericks. And then they lost back-to-back games. Eastside Herald, I don't know where you're at. You're probably real effing quiet right now, but you can shut it for a minute because the Mavericks are up 2-0. When was the last time they were up 2-0 in a series? Are we going again back to the 2011 Western Conference Finals? It feels like we are. Dude, they took... You can talk about the Clippers being rusty in game one, right? They rested a lot of their guys. They weren't in a good groove. You can talk about that. That's fair. You can't say that about this game. Kawhi Leonard put on a show in that first quarter. He had 30 points at the half. And yet, despite Luka starting slow, he got going in that second quarter, put up some big numbers, and the Clippers led 73-71 at the half. Like, that you got 30 out of Kawhi at the half, and you're sporting a 2-point lead, and it's not just Luka. You had big moments from Maxi Kleber in the first quarter. Maxi Kleber had himself a monster first quarter, like 5 of 5 from the field. Incredible stuff. Mavericks here sees a 127-121 victory over the Clippers. This is epic shit. This is incredible stuff here from the Mavericks. We've said we don't know how good they are all year because they're so up and down. They play up and down to that competition, but they are very much in a groove here. Now, I think what we're going to do, as much as I would like to do a full show here, and you see again, I'm doing instant reaction here in my living room. It's late as hell. I've worked 13 hours today. I am spent. I am on fumes. I'm going to run this for a minute. I think for the normal setup in the office, I'm going to run a full post-game show tomorrow morning, I think is what I'm going to have to do. I wanted to bring Any on. I don't see how I'm going to manage to do that here. But let's talk again a little bit more about the game here. Tim Hardaway Jr., we kept talking like it was the KP trade. No. This was the Tim Hardaway Jr. trade. It always was, apparently. We just didn't know it at the time. Tim Hardaway Jr., basically, he might as well be pulling a page out of Jason Terry's books. You guys remember after the championship year, Jason Terry writing on his sneakers, "Pay me," or something to that extent, as a message to like Mark Cuban? Like, hey man, pony up the dough. That's Tim Hardaway Jr. right now as he beasted in this game. 28 points, 6 of 8 from 3, and he hits the dagger. The Clippers made a late run with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 incredibly questionable at best foul calls. And it allowed them to shave a 9-point lead, no, a 10-point lead, down to, I think, 3? Down to 3. And then you get the Tim Hardaway Jr. big cojones step into a 3-step back. Not a step back, he stepped in, but it sounds fun just to say it like Followell does, the step back jack. Incredible gutsy performance here. Now KP, he was better. He was still a little up and down, a little inconsistent for my taste, but he made some plays. He made plays. He didn't play like the second superstar, but he made plays like a competent, compatible piece within this offense. This is the Luka Doncic superstar. Tim Hardaway Jr. is playing right now in that role on this hot streak. He is playing in that role of the number 2 dude, and he is balling out this past month. The fact that Dallas is sitting in this position, I'll be honest with you. I will be completely honest with you. I did not see the Mavericks winning this game. I didn't. Coming in, I assumed the Clippers were going to come out better, and I think they largely did. Right? Dallas is, as much as we want to talk about how great of a win this is, and it is great, Dallas's free throws were ass in this game. You were, what, 9 until the final little stretch there where Jay Rich knocks down those free throws to skew your percentage better. You were like 9 of 20 on free throws, despite shooting over 50% in the game. That's why LA was still in it. You would have been up, and I tweeted this at the time, you would have been up 20 instead when they were up 10. And yet they got it going. They got it going to the point where even bad free throw shooting couldn't stop them. Luka was 2 of 7 at the line. Hardaway, as great of a game as he had, he wasn't great at the line. It was pretty much Jay Rich was the only guy nails at the line. And so Dallas, we've talked about it. They played them 3 times in the regular season. Is that it? 3 times in the regular season? Yeah. So they've beaten them 4 to 5 times, and they have looked like the better team across the board. At this point, it's not a small sample size. This is just what the numbers and everything are telling us. And that's not to say nothing can change. Adjustments can always be made. Teams get hot, teams get cold. We see this. But through 5 games of these teams matching up this year, it's clear that while LA might have made improvements on their roster, the Mavericks are the better team. And I thought LA was going to come out and even up this series in all likelihood. I just wanted to see Dallas fight and compete and not lose any sort of momentum. And yet they didn't have to worry about that because they came out every bit as ready and dialed in. They took the physicality of it. They took Kawhi Leonard's huge first half. In the third quarter, Kawhi Leonard cooled significantly. And yet the Mavericks kept cooking, kept churning. They had a 9-point lead going into the fourth quarter. And really, with like 4 minutes left, they had pushed it up. Like they were sitting in a position where they looked like they were about to run away. And then the BS kind of happens, right? You get a turnover and you get the offensive foul called on Josh Richardson. I don't agree with that call watching it back. I thought in real speed, I thought that he might have tried to clear out, but watching it back, no, he didn't clear out at all. So that's a ridiculous call in that. And then Kawhi gets a very charitable foul call like seconds later. And you then had the Clippers go on like an 8-0 run in like the blink of an eye. And suddenly it was like, oh, we're back on our heels. KP shot a ball from Frisco, bounced off the rim, went 45.5 feet up in the air, and dropped straight back down through the basket. And that pushed the lead to 114-104, I believe. And then from there, it cooled down. The Mavericks went cold. The Clippers started to go on a run, fueled by the benefit of several questionable calls. How does Patrick Beverley, never mind the questionable nature that foul was overturned when he gets Hardaway from behind on the jump shot. Never mind the fact he caps the ball, but he's draped across his shoulder. Never mind the fact that call is overturned. How in the world does he not get teed up for running at the ref, arguing it? Like Luka looks half a second at the referee with anything like that emotion. He's teed up. KP got ejected last year in the playoffs for nothing that egregious. So it's amazing to me how much leash the Clippers seem to get in this regard, and Dallas just doesn't get that benefit of the doubt. That's a travesty. But even still, Dallas is the better team right now. The Clippers, they're getting their performances. We talked about Pandemic Paul last year, Paul George. They're getting their performances right now. Paul George had himself a good game. Kawhi Leonard had himself a beastly game. Luka had his moments. Hardaway had huge moments. KP had good moments. Jalen Brunson had good moments. Maxi Kleber, like I said in that first quarter, good googly moogly. Josh Richardson, I know he ices the game with the free throws at the end, but man, he had several good defensive plays as well in this, and he had moments where he was knocking down threes as well. This team is firing on most cylinders right now. I say most because I'm not giving him any credit right now for that free throw shooting. You can't go like 9 of 20 before Richardson saves you with 4 free throws at the end to have me say you're firing on all cylinders. But you're firing on many, many cylinders right now. And it is incredible. Speaking of incredible, some of the shots Luka made in this game defy logic. Absolutely defy logic. You have the one-legged fadeaway from 3 that he splashes with like 31 seconds left in the third quarter. You have him hitting the Dirk one-legged fadeaway from the mid-range on Kawhi Leonard, and it is the most gorgeous rainbow jump shot I have seen this side of Dirk Nowitzki. Incredible stuff. Incredible, some of the shots he makes. Again, frustrating that he's 2 of 7 at the line, but my goodness, the Mavericks are dangerous. They are stone cold killers. Jalen Brunson hit the nail on the head when the Mavericks clinched a playoff spot. He said, I don't think anybody wants to face us right now because they don't know what we are. We don't even fully know what we are, which at the time raised actually a little bit of warning bell. But man, oh man, this team is coming together at the right moment. They're not even fully healthy. Maxey, he continues to beast out. And again, great performance from him tonight. Career playoff high in points for him. Somebody in the comments, let me know how many points exactly Maxey finished with. Because I'm doing this from my phone, I can't just pull it up like normal. But incredible stuff in that regard. They don't have Maxey at 100%. He's just gutting it out right now. They don't have JJ Redick for this series. We'll see, what happens with that. Because now at this point, you never count your chickens before they hatch. You never put the cart in front of the horse or anything like that, or any other approximation of that quote. 13 points, salute. That's all first quarter too, if I believe correctly. But you never count your chickens before they hatch, or whatever approximation you want of that. But at the same time, you went to 6 games with them last year, and now at best, they're going to have to go 6 games against you this year if they're even going to get out of here. So you have them on their heels because now they come to your house for the next 2 games. You have near sold out crowds. You have 15,000 fans packed in there. I don't know how many cardboard cutouts the Clippers had in the stands there. It's kind of cute whenever they're playing the defense chants, because you hear it and it's loud, but you're looking around and you're like, it's cardboard cutouts. You got 3,000 fans there. There's probably more. It's probably 6,000. But it's just oof, bro, you haven't played against a real crowd environment all year. And now you got the 2-0 leading Mavericks, and you got to go to Dallas and deal with them. Now, Kawhi Leonard's a stone cold killer. He is capable of playing in that environment. Paul George has had moments where he's been able to do that, but he's also had a lot of moments in recent years where he's kind of folded in pressure. So we'll see. I think a big swing here, we talked about the controversial Josh Richardson offensive foul that leads to, it was a chance for the Mavericks to go up 12. He should have pulled it back because he was breaking against 2 defenders, and it would have been better to pull it out and kind of set up the offense. And instead, you get a swing that ends up leading to an 8-0 run by the Clippers that made things real tight before Hardaway basically said, yeah, that's cute. That's enough of that, though. We're going to end this now. But, man, this big moment to me, other than the Hardaway shot, Dorian Finney-Smith's offensive rebound there late, getting that. Luka shoots a mid-range J, barely grazes the iron. It actually bounces off of Maxey's face. And Dorian Finney-Smith is right there to secure it, and it makes them foul. They foul, I think, with 3 seconds left on the shot clock. That was very bad management. They had a foul to give, and they allowed for the situation to push to that extent. I don't like that as the Clippers setup, but it doesn't matter what the Clippers are doing right now because they can throw anybody they want at Luka. They talked about how, they were going to clamp down Luka with Kawhi Leonard. It's going to be a long night, said Clutch Points. If Kawhi Leonard, it's going to be a long night for Luka if Kawhi Leonard guards Luka. Bro, Luka ate. Luka 8. Now, I think Kawhi ended up with more points, but here's some stats here. Defensive lockdown. The second half, the Mavericks took the Clippers shot 62.8% in the first half, 43.9% in the second half. They were 6 of 13 from 3 in the first half. The Clippers were to 7 of 20 in the second half. Free throws was a huge disparity. They were 13 of 14 at half, getting a ton of free throws. The Clippers were. Mavericks got nothing. In the second half, drastically fewer in that regard for the Clippers. But the Mavericks defense did turn up. And Luka can get anything he wants right now. I talked about him eating against Kawhi. I talked against him continuing to abuse Zubats. I mean, it wasn't as bad as that little stretch run there in game 1 where he just absolutely murdered Zubats, basically forced him to take him off the floor. Patrick Beverley, several times he went right at him. I know Beverley got the one time where he ripped him and it led to a fast break bucket for LA, but good gravy. Luka is taking guys out of the game. Like, the Clippers have multiple starters that they're trying to pair against Luka, and Luka's running them off the floor because they can't stop him. And Luka's letting them hear about it. He's going vintage Larry Bird on their ass, talking smack, and I love it. He's screaming when Patrick Beverley tries to guard him and he takes him to the hoop for an and one. He's screaming, "You're too small." He's all kinds of trash talk, and he's not even afraid to trash talk Marcus Morris. That's insane. Like, Marcus Morris is one of those certifiably insane guys in the NBA. Speaking of which, he fouls out in the game with one of the dumbest 6th fouls ever. He does a moving screen in a moment when the Clippers have momentum and they're moving. He decided, like, hey, we're moving along, we're cutting into this lead. I'm going to actually set a moving screen and foul out, because that seems like a thing to do. I thought for the Clippers, Serge Ibaka was going to be a major X factor in this series, and he has not been at all this series. Not yet. Still keep an eye out, but he has not been the difference maker for them that I thought he would be. They're sticking very tried and true to a lot of their things. I think Carlisle is out-coaching Ty Lue right now. Like, there's been a lot of Carlisle slander in recent years, and I've even questioned him at times this year. But I really think Carlisle is running circles. Through the first 2 games, it seems like he has run circles around Ty Lue, because very little of what the Clippers are trying to throw at Dallas's offense to slow it down has worked. Like, Dallas is getting what it wants. It's feasting, whether it's taking in, key moments, getting exactly the look that it wants, or if it's these bigger moments like this where they just go on a blitz. Like, the Clippers threw the kitchen sink at the Mavericks in the first half. Kawhi Leonard beasting with 30 points at the half, and yet it was a 2-point game, and the Mavericks had 71 points. They had to basically be looking, the Clippers did, and thinking like, dude, we need to hope that they're almost out of steam. We need to hope that they're going to break in the second half. And you know what? They didn't. The Mavericks do not break this year. And they're getting more and more dangerous and more confident with each passing game. Somebody in the comments pointed out, yes, they are now 29-0 when leading after the first quarter. Their record is like 38-0 now when they shoot over 34% from 3, which is basically league average. Incredible. They shot like 50%, over 50%. I think, again, it's like the second consecutive game. I want to see what the Clippers' 3-point percentage wound up for the game, because they're only shooting 27% against the Mavericks this year from 3. And again, the Clippers' 4th highest team 3-point field goal percentage in NBA history this season. And yet against the Mavericks, through 4 games, so coming into tonight, they're shooting 27%. And I think they had another ho-hum game in that regard. Probably, certainly better than 27%, but nothing crazy. So, yeah, this is getting really, really interesting here. You still saw moments of fatigue from Luka, but then you also saw just some of the most insane coming out party stuff that he has ever done. Rangers King points out, Mavs undefeated when they shoot a better 3-point percentage than their opponent. There you go. You see Luka at times struggling. Like, he misses the back-to-back free throws that dropped him to 2 of 7, and then he hits the one-legged floating to the side fadeaway from 3, 39% for the Clippers. So, okay, about average for them. And you know what, MK, I'm actually going to say that's an even better note. The fact that the Clippers shot basically their season average on 3 and lost, and we're in a position that if the Mavericks just make their free throws, they're running away from them. dude, they're not turning the ball over. They don't turn it over much. They shot in this game about what they shoot. They played essentially their game, a top 10 offense and defense. There's just something like the Clippers curse. I think it might be real. I think there might be something to it at this point because I don't think that team recovered from blowing a 3-1 lead over Denver last year. I don't. That team can be broken. That team's body language and personality can get very shrugging their shoulders, very blah. And Dallas capitalizes. Through the first 2 games, they have capitalized on those moments. And you'll love to see it. The Clippers shot 39.4% from 3. Dallas shot 52.9%. Bro, that is ridiculous. You could look at it and say, well, the Mavericks are just red hot right now. Maybe, but again, with them missing the free throws, they're not even beating up on you near as bad as they could. You get 18 out of KP. I don't know how many rebounds he wound up with, but I thought he had a good game. I thought it was a good, just not blow you away game from KP. Hardaway had a lot of big moments there. Brunson had some big moments as well. And, you got Dirk in attendance. That was cool, too. Luka hitting some of those shots. Mavericks need a new free throw coach, I think. You might as well bring in Dirk to work with the team on that. He went 90% pretty much every year. But, dude, this is the absolute best case scenario through 2 games. The Mavericks are 2-0, leading in the playoffs, and now they come home with all of the momentum. They gotta execute. They gotta follow through. They can't let it slip away, and they can't take it for granted. But I think this team, through Luka's first couple of years, I think they learned a lot about staying mentally tough and closing out these games because you kind of got the feeling when the Clippers made that run, when they went on that 8-0 run, you even kind of saw people grumbling, even Mavs Twitter grumbling like, ooh, here we go. And yet, where they would have folded last year, where they would have folded the year before, they stood up and pretty much said like, nah, we're closing that door. Whether you want to say it was Tim Hardaway Jr. or Josh Richardson or whatever, Dallas said, all right, yeah, you're making it close. It's uncomfortable, but we're not letting this one slip. The vibes are immaculate. I'm going to do a post-game show tomorrow with any is my goal. I'm going to see about doing a full recap on this. This is just instant reaction here. If you guys haven't already, drop a like. Look for one of these after each playoff game, and I'm actually going to try and expand on these to bring in more people as well. I want to get Annie in here. I know he was on standby. Like I said, today's a wonky day with me working another 13-hour day. I was on fumes coming into the game, but the win has me hyped, and so now I'll be lucky if I go to sleep at all. But we'll get this rolling. Drop a like if you haven't already. Subscribe to the Dallas Prospect. And until next time, remember, every legend was once a prospect. Peace.